Good afternoon, everyone. This is John Corneille, Director of Legacy Giving with the Foundation Fighting Blindness. I am recording this from my dining room in the suburb of Minneapolis called Minnetonka, Minnesota. And I'm going to tell you up front that this is very strange and awkward for me to be giving a presentation to my laptop computer. So bear with me for a little uncomfortableness that might come across on the video, but I feel much more comfortable being in front of a live group. So I do want to just do a little bit of description on the outset here for those of you like me who cannot see the video and you're just listening. So there's really, I'm going to have no PowerPoint, nothing written. It's all going to be free-flowing from my mind, whatever's left of it at 60 years old. Over my right shoulder, you should be able to see, those of you who can see, the little bit of my fireplace background, and then over my other shoulder, some wall art and maybe a lamp. And I am actually wearing a tie. I haven't worn a tie in months, but kind of been indoors like the rest of you. This is being recorded on June 16th, 2020. The tie is kind of a navy and light blue striped tie, and I'm wearing a long sleeve white shirt on a 90-degree, excuse me, on a 90-degree hot, humid day here near the Twin Cities. So just a little bit of background on myself, not to reveal too much, but as I said, I'm 60 years old. I have retinitis pigmentosa. I was diagnosed at about age 5, and like many of you who are affected with one of these inherited retinal diseases, it was a slow progressive loss of vision to the point where I am now of pretty much light perception only. I can see the screen in front of me, but I can see nothing on it. Thankfully, I haven't been able to see myself in the mirror for at least 10 years. I guess I've got some graying hair, but I guess I'm just happy I have hair at this point. So light perception only. Lots of times when some of you see me, I'll wear glasses when I'm out and about just for eye protection. I'm not wearing them today. So that's pretty much the visual of what you have going on. Again, don't worry about it. You just sit back and listen. And what I really want to talk about today is about creating a legacy. You're part of your lasting legacy. How are you going to be remembered? And I was thinking long and hard about, when I got into this, telling a little bit about myself, is how much should I reveal? And I just decided I'm going to say this. I'm hoping a lot of you can relate. Do you ever go to a funeral and listen to the eulogies and hear them talk about the deceased person and sit and wonder, what are they going to say about me when I'm gone? I'm not the only person, I know that, who doesn't think that. And you think about, oh, I want to be a good person. I hope they remember me for being kind, considerate, trying to do the best that you could during your lifetime. And that's really part of what I'm talking about here as far as your legacy as it relates to the Foundation Fighting Blindness. And part of that is leaving a gift. And when we talk about a legacy gift at the foundation and our legacy program, we really are pretty much talking about a gift that someone leaves us at the time of their passing, either through a will or a trust or some other beneficiary designated account that I'll get into a little more detail later. And I'm not going to get into a lot of details, so hopefully you can stay awake during this. We're going to be very high level just to get you thinking a little bit about it. So as I said, at the foundation, our legacy program does provide a stream of revenue for us. Very important, as many of you know who follow the foundation closely, we have several sources of revenue. One is our events, our vision walks and our dinners and our other galas. That brings in money for us for research. We have our membership, our online giving, things you get in the mail, our various match programs, and we have our legacy program. So really few real big sources of revenue. And the legacy part of it is It's really impossible to predict or budget for, because most people, when they create a legacy gift, understandably so, because of how private and personal a decision that is, do not let us know about it, and that's perfectly fine. Those who do let us know, verbally or in writing, email, however it happens to be, that they've created a legacy gift for the foundation, they become a member of our Legacy Society. And that's a number that we hope to grow over the years to provide financial stability well into the future for the foundation. And while our goal is still to go out of business when we've cured all of these inherited retinal disease, and we've come a long, long way in the almost 50 years of the history of the foundation, we still got some work to do. So I want you to think about that as you think about your own life and how you want to be remembered, and what the foundation has meant to you and will mean to you going forward and for future generations. So my background before joining the foundation was as a practicing attorney in a small law firm about 60 miles west of Chicago. I did a lot of estate planning and estate administration during that time. And when I joined the foundation part-time as director of legacy giving in late 2010, it was a great fit for me. I'm obviously not able to provide direct legal advice to anyone. I can't draft documents, but I certainly can answer questions, and I can give guidance and direction. And that's what I'm here for, and that's my primary role with the foundation. So depending upon which study you read or article you read and what you believe, either side of 50% of the people in this country die without a will or any type of estate plan whatsoever. I've heard that. When I first heard that, I didn't believe it. It just seemed too shocking to me. But then I've heard it enough times that I really do believe it. And there's a variety of reasons that I think people do not create an estate plan through their will or trust or other vehicles. I think it's kind of the last thing on the priority list. If it's on the list at all, it's about death and dying, and that's morbid in and of itself. Some people are superstitious. Some of us think that we're never going to die, that we're healthy, but we all know that none of that's true. And it's something that everyone should do. And I can't tell you how many people I talk to that tell me, well, I don't have a lot of money. I'm not rich. I don't have an estate. Well, I'm here to tell you that everybody listening to this has some sort of an estate. It means that you've got some sort of an asset to pass along to the next generation. You might have a house that's paid for, maybe a checking account, maybe a car if you're lucky enough to still drive, 401k account, life insurance policy. Any of these things can be the basis of a legacy gift to the foundation. And oftentimes, a legacy gift is the largest gift that someone's able to give during their lifetime, because you can't take it with you, right? You're not going to need it in the afterlife. So lots and lots of things out there. So don't think at all that you have to be a rich, wealthy person to leave a meaningful legacy gift to the foundation. We have several 100,000 people in our database, and if 100% of those people gave some sort of a legacy gift, it would add up to tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, believe me. So it's a very, very large potential revenue source for the foundation. And I guess I want to begin by saying that even if you don't consider a legacy gift to the foundation, getting your affairs in order is a really, really important thing to do. A will, I'll start with a will, is probably the most common source of leaving gifts to children, spouses, other family members, and charity. You will need to talk to a lawyer, although I will say that in this day and age, there are a lot of online packages that you can use to help create these documents, create a will or a trust. There's LegalZoom, there's Free Will, and we don't have any relationship with any of these. And I'm kind of old school in that I really believe wholeheartedly that you should meet with a lawyer to finalize these things, but you certainly can use these online businesses and entities to at least get yourself organized, get thinking about the things that are important when it comes down to finalizing the documents. So a will is just a written statement of your intent of what you want to happen with your assets upon death. Each state has its own laws as to how a will is to be written, how it's to be signed, how many witnesses, does it have to be notarized, those types of things. But you basically set forth there, in detail or very simple, what you want to happen with your assets. You name an executor in that will who will be in charge, will oftentimes work with the lawyer if probate is required. It's where you can leave a gift to charity. If you have children that are under age 18, it's where you can provide for guardianship for those children. Where are they going to live until they reach the age of majority? You can set up a trust within a will, a trust that basically launches at the time of your passing, that holds money. Oftentimes it's done for a child or children until they reach a certain age, where you as the parent believe that they would be mature and responsible enough to handle the full amount of the money being left to them. In that case, you name a trustee to manage that money for you. So a will can be done really pretty simply, and a lot of lawyers, at least back in my day when I was practicing law, really didn't charge a lot of money for the will. It's something that can be a one-time thing, although the beauty of it is if your circumstances in life change, you can change that will. You can do a complete new will, or you can do a codicil, which is a Latin term for change. So you can do a change to your existing will. And so I can tell you what happens if you don't have a will, or if you don't have any other plan for assets that would be covered by a will. The state in which you live at the time of your passing will have a law that tells you what will happen to your money. And sometimes you might get lucky, and that might be exactly what you would have wanted if you had prepared a will in advance. But a lot of times it's not what you would have wanted. You lose total control over whatever you have if you don't have a will or trust or some other type of estate planning tool. One thing that will never ever happen if you don't have a will and you have assets that would be covered by a will is there won't be any gift to charity. There is no state that has a law that says 10% or 50% of your assets or 5% goes to a charity that the state chooses. So if you're charitably inclined, you really need to do something like a will or a trust and really put a little bit of thought into it. So let's move into trust. There's lots and lots of types of trusts. I'm not going to get into them much in depth, but the one that's probably the most common nowadays is what's called a living trust or revocable living trust. And it again is another written document that has a lot of the same qualities as a will in that it can have provisions in it that indicates what happens to your assets upon death, exactly like a will. The other part of a trust and why a lot of people use it is that it can have provisions in it that would indicate who manages your assets, who pays your bills, who takes care of things for you while you're alive, but unable. Maybe you've had a stroke, or there's been some mental deterioration or some other health reason that makes it impossible or impractical for you to continue to take care of your financial affairs. The trustee named in your will, someone who you have confidence and faith in that you would name, would take over and handle those things during your lifetime, the same as that trustee would do with your assets upon death. A lot of people have the misconception that you have a living trust to save estate taxes. And while certain types of planning within a living trust can help reduce estate taxes, it's really done for the purposes of avoiding probate through the court system. And I don't want to get into a real lengthy discussion about probate, but in short, any asset that you have upon your death that is owned by your trust, that is, you have transferred into your trust, and a lawyer would help you do all these things, can be transferred out of that trust by the trustee without court involvement at all. If you have assets that are not covered by a trust and would be covered by your will, then oftentimes the probate process would be needed. It's a little bit time consuming. It can be more expensive because most people have to go to a lawyer to get through the probate process. So there's a lot of advantages to a revocable living trust. It's not for everyone because it's a little more expensive to set up typically than a basic will. So you really need to sit down with a lawyer to explain your situation and get some advice and recommendation as to whether a living trust is right for you. And of course, you can put a gift to charity or charities in that living trust document as well. So some other types of trusts that I really won't get into are charitable remainder trusts. And these are ones where you'd set up a trust during your lifetime and it would hold money or assets in that trust that would produce income for you during your lifetime, would pay that income back to you during your lifetime, and then upon your passing, and your spouse, if you have a spouse, would go to the designated charity. There's some significant tax advantages to setting up a charitable remainder trust. They're pretty complicated, so most garden variety, if you will, lawyers would not really be the ones to do a charitable remainder trust for you, but you have to do it right because it is such a advantageous document tax-wise. So just keep that in the back of your mind, and usually you want to have a fairly significant amount of money in that trust before you consider doing it. So we talked about a will, we've talked about trusts a little bit, but a growing area of, I guess, estate planning and ways to leave gifts upon death, whether it be to family or charities or anyone else really, are beneficiary designated accounts. And there's a lot of them out there. Let's take probably the most well-known, a life insurance policy. So you purchase a life insurance policy, you're the owner of that policy, you're the insured, and upon your passing, the face or death benefit amount of that policy goes to whoever you named when you bought the policy as the beneficiary or beneficiaries. And that can be a charity. You can give a percentage to the charity and another percentage to individuals. You can basically break it up however you would like. It's a quick, seamless way for the passage of money upon death. There's no probate. No lawyers need to be involved with anything like that. So life insurance, if you have a group policy through employment, or if you have some policies that you've kept as you get out of work time, are a great way to leave a charitable gift. And what I have found is a lot of people forget about their policies, particularly if they've had them for a long period of time. So think about life insurance policies. Another really, really common beneficiary designated asset is a 401k plan that's established through your employment, or an IRA, an individual retirement account. Again, you can and should set up beneficiaries on those types of accounts. And it can be a charity, just like life insurance. It can be part to a charity and part to an individual. I will say that without getting too deep into it, that if you have children or other individuals that you're leaving money to at death, and you have a charity, hopefully the foundation, it's almost always better to make that charitable gift out of a tax-deferred account like a 401k or an IRA, because you have not paid tax on that as it has grown and you've contributed to it during your lifetime. But when the money is paid out to an individual upon your death, then that person pays income tax on it at their tax rate. So the government always, they'll say, well, we won't take this money from you now during your lifetime, but we want to get it at some point in the future. So if you give it to an individual, that's when it's going to be taxed. If you leave that same account, however, to a charity, because charities are exempt from income taxation, there is no taxes paid at all. So you get a much larger bang for your buck if you make a gift like that from a tax-deferred account. And again, this is all part of planning, estate planning. What assets do you have? What's the best plan to accomplish what you want with your assets and to make them as meaningful and significant as you possibly can? So those are great ones. 401ks, foundation, we have a 403b retirement plans. It's the not-for-profit version of a 401k. And that's where I personally, excuse me, have created my legacy gift to the foundation is from my 403b account, which is, I thought, kind of nice too, because the foundation, like many employers, does contribute to our 403b, and this will be my opportunity to return that to the foundation to continue to research and find cures for these awful diseases. What are some other beneficiary designated accounts that a person would have? How about a brokerage account? Charles Schwab, Fidelity, Edward Jones, any of these accounts where you have investments where somebody makes the decisions or you make their own decisions, you can name a beneficiary on those accounts. And again, same thing, it can go to charity, it can go to individuals, it can go mixed to charity and an individual. No lawyers, no probate, lots of expense can be saved that way, administrating those assets upon your passing. Even bank accounts. Back in the days when certificates of deposit were really popular, when they paid a pretty good interest rate, you could name beneficiaries on those. You can set up pay on death accounts at banks. So there's a lot of different things that even a basic checking or savings account, depending upon the financial institution, may allow you to name a beneficiary on that. And again, it's not only a very simple and easy way to leave a gift upon death, it happens very quickly. It usually doesn't take very long to administer those types of things upon your passing. So we also offer at the foundation what are called charitable gift annuities. And we've been offering those for maybe 15 years or so. And that's a type of gift that really does help the foundation now, provides a lot of tax benefits for you when you purchase it. It's similar to a charitable remainder trust in that you basically write a check to the foundation during your lifetime and you purchase an annuity contract. And then during your lifetime, the annuity pays you back part of the annuity and part interest. And the interest rate is usually better, much better than you can get at a bank or other financial institution. It depends on a lot of factors. It depends on your age. It depends on whether it's an annuity on your own life or whether you have a second life on there, a spouse. So we can run those calculations for you to see if a charitable gift annuity makes sense for you. And basically, whatever's left in that annuity goes to the foundation that you don't use. So it's kind of a win-win for you and for the foundation. And like I said, we have computer software that can run those things. There's some tax benefits to setting it up. So at the end of the day, you know, what I have found through my other life, if you will, as an attorney, and certainly with the estate gifts that I've seen when I've been working for the foundation, is that nobody's really going to make a gift to charity unless they believe in that charity. And if you followed the foundation for any length of time, you know that the money that you leave here is going to be treated very well. It's going to be stewarded incredibly well. You know that we always have a very positive rating from Charity Navigator, excuse me. We have a scientific advisory board of 50 of the world's top researchers and clinicians who thoroughly vet every research grant that we make. And when we give out money, we keep track of it. If the researchers do not meet certain benchmarks and milestones, then they don't get the rest of the money. So you need to feel very good about any gift that you make to the foundation, whether it be a gift during your lifetime and or a legacy gift that's created upon your passing. We all have a vested interest in the success of this organization, yours truly for sure. I'm going down to see my kids and grandkids who I haven't seen in close to a year for the COVID and other reasons, and I can't see them anymore, and I want to see them. And I want all of you out there that are affected with these diseases to someday regain some of that sight or stop the progression of the disease, or if you have a loved one who's affected by it. So if we stay in this fight together, if you consider a legacy gift, it'd be awesome. It's a potential tremendous source of revenue for the foundation. I'm here to help. Give me a call or shoot me an email at any time, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks so much for listening.